This, guys, is a big no-no. Y'all can see that. Never ever use fiber tape on corners, or just don't use fiber tape at all. It is what amateurs use. Corners, you require a corner bead made out of metal or plastic. I can highly recommend these. They do not bend like the metal ones, and you can cut them with your snips, and they produce a much better finish. So once this dries, this 20-minute mud, we'll be able to give a quick sand, blow off the dust, and apply another layer of 20-minute mud. And we'll have a corner set in one day. In situations like this, don't tear it off. Just place your corner over and over, and you're just gonna have to fill in with mud. That needs more mud. Obvious areas that you can just sand down and you can see with the naked eye. You can see these at an angle with oh my god. With decent lighting, you can see these at an angle. I always carry a light so you can catch mistakes. Worst thing you can do is have an uneven surface like that. This will show up after you throw your texture and paint, and that will look atrocious. So make sure you have a good light on tape and float sanding day. You do not want to miss things like that, or even like this. Look at that, a bloody screw right there. Some spots that you guys see that are wet, they've just been touched up with 20-minute mud, which is both a blessing and a curse. 20-minute mud is quick to set, but you will need to sand it down. You cannot get away with a wet sponge. You'll be there for days trying to sand with a wet sponge. That needs a little touch of sanding there. But most of this is as flat as it's going to get. Stuff like this does need a bit of a pass. Stuff like that does need a bit of a pass just to get it to blend better. This as well. If you guys can see, the skim coat is so thin that you can literally smooth it out with your fingers. Look at that. And once this dries all the same color, it will be really well blended. This is the before.
There's multiple different methods that you can use to sand a project like this. You can use a power sander like the one being used here. It is a hyper tough cordless sander. It only costs $40, believe it or not. It still works. Sand nets, sand discs, sanders on boom poles, all kinds of different contraptions. The point is you just want to get your wall flat and your area free of dust.
And like I said, spots where you haven't used your 20-minute mud, just a traditional mud, you can sand with a wet sponge. See? That blends right in. Blends right in, and it'll dry out pretty quickly And you really only want to do the edges on a blend. This room is more or less ready for our second blast of texture. This is the initial blast just to fill in the voids because we're gonna go pretty heavy on the second coat. This is a test patch of the color that the house will be using. If you guys are going into real estate, be super diligent. Look at this. That's no bueno. It's so loose. So make sure before everything goes up and you begin to waterproof that everything is sturdy. That goes for all of your fixtures, everything. So I'm gonna go back in with my framing nail gun and fix that. I'm also missing blocking that I had to place. Any areas where you're gonna have running water, it's a good standard practice to place insulation. It's not expensive and it dampens the sound of the running water as well as the water hammers. So I don't really clean the blade after every pass, but after every wall, or if it's a large room, I'll clean the blade after a half wall. And then it stays nice and fresh and crisp for clean passes. Texture is not a hard thing. Just take your time. If you wait too long and your texture begins to dry, you can still knock it down. See? That, I would say, is really close to being too dry. That's 5-minute dry time. We're just gonna go ahead and apply more force on the pass. And you still get your nice knockdown finish. And in some situations, don't jump the gun. Anywhere where you have paint, it will require extra dry time. Otherwise you end up with things like this. I feel like this is the best example of what knockdown makes texture into. Much better. Alright, so this whole bathroom needs knockdown. Just gonna get our blade and knock it down. When you do drywall work, please wear a mask. This mask was clean and brand new when I got to work today. It's filthy. I mean, look at that. One day. You don't want this anywhere near your lungs. And I can't heap enough praise on these lights. They're super durable. You can get them covered in mud. Definitely a lifesaver, super bright. Look at this. I know most of us have tonneau covers. definite lightsaber at night.